Okay, well, I hope that that's put on kind of a side note, but the thing is, because it was looked into, it was talked about extensively about the possibility of closing the park. That was never once mentioned at any of the commissioner meetings or the planning commission meetings that I attended that did talk specifically about closing Railroad Park.
Right.
The main thing I heard was Commissioner Cruz said, hey, I might take a little bit of offense to that because I think it was your mother-in-law or your mother.
She was a driving force behind getting it.
took part behind getting it as well, so.
If I may, Raven, I think when we, and we have talked about that twice in the recommendations of the planning commission, that we've done the park review and had that, their recommendation also was McElhaney Park, which is the 29th and Appleton. And I don't think it said anything about closing the park. It was more or less making it, I think the terminology was used was green space, places where they could just play, run, place for people to go. As far as the caboose, I know things change. We're
Right.
talking a 1979 deed. We also have one down by my house, Circle Park, that was deeded to the city only if it was maintained as a park.
Right.
So those are some of the caveats, yes, that you know, should come out that might have, but I'm not sure it was overlooked. But things do change, and the recommendation, I think the planning commission spent a lot of time going through all the parks. We do have a lot of neighborhood parks in this town, and
Right.
to condense that and try to do the best we can as far as wards and main parks, Fourth Park, Mobile Park, I think we're just doing the best we can.
Okay, well, I would like to see like, the preservation of the memorials, if you will. Like I said, there was a young boy who died very young.
I was not
and-
aware of the memorial.
Yeah, that was it was for Sean Olds. And unfortunately, because of a misunderstanding by a citizen, one of the commissioners has kind of paid for that, if you will, who had no part in it. It, you know, struck a chord with somebody and they went crazy. Or, you know, but, because it was his nephew. But yeah, it's a memorial to him and Tom Crawshaw. I'm sorry. Did you have?
Well,
that?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I didn't know. Yeah. No, I was just saying, so I mean, I hope maybe the newspaper can clear that up too for some people, because I've had discussion with several people that were kind of offended by the fact that, you know, it is memorials.
I did talk with a member of that family today, and advised what because this issue has came up, that's been brought to our concern before about there being the memorial for the young child out there, and we can't find anything in our archives or in our software that searches minutes and everything where there was ever anything official as far as a memorial go out there. This person advised me, now I don't know if her information, how correct it is, as well, it says that it was an informal, they put a memorial in the caboose on an informal basis, kind of like there, but there wasn't anything formal. If you've got some formal paperwork that talks about that, we would be more than happy to see it. But I don't know if there was anything where the City Commission approved a memorial or anything out there like that. I mean, we don't want to step on anyone's foot when it comes to that, but that's the way it was explained to me. And again, this person, I don't think it's a member of the family, but I think it's an extended member of the family, so I don't know how involved they were with the original, you know, when that memorial was put in. But that's the way it was explained to me. Like it was kind of an informal thing. Like they put something in the caboose as a memorial to the child, but it wasn't like it was approved by this committee, like, you know, the city to do anything like that. Now, how accurate that information is, I don't know. But I mean, if you've got something that can reference that back on what it is, we would definitely want to look at that, because we don't want to do anything to anybody's memorial that was put there by the city.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So let me make sure, let me summarize the way I understand this public comment. We're not closing it as a park, that was a concern. We don't know if there is a memorial that is tied to the caboose. We're going to find that out.
There wasn't any on
Well,
that.
I don't know if we're gonna find that out. If someone would provide that information to us, we'll
Okay.
deal with it, but we've looked and we can't find
Okay.
anything.
All right. All right.
Mayor, if I may just interject a couple of comments.
Okay.
The Planning Commission was aware that this land came from this state and that it would have to go back to this state. The Planning Commission was a recommending body, as you well know. None of their decisions is final, it's ultimately yours. We saw a couple of possible building sites for homes. And of course, if it went to that point, we would have to work that out with the state of Kansas. And that could have been a legal nightmare that maybe we did not want to get into, but you don't know until you investigate it. We just seen a couple of possible building sites for some homes. That's why the recommendation was to change the use from a park into some possible building sites. But we too did not know anything about the memorials at that time.
Well, I think at one time, even when we were getting ready to improve the city and do something that an organization, park, was wanting to do with dog parks, I think we had a little rift in some of the more, as far as trees down there. Everybody was very nice, come together, come to an agreement that this needed to happen and maintain what was there, what we wanted to do, and it worked out for everybody. We definitely don't want to get into that same position here, but this is an improvement overall as a city, what we can do with our park system and maintain the integrity of the quality of life in those neighborhoods where such parks lay right now. So.
The one that you're referring to that we did for Park, we knew that it was there. But I don't know about the second one that Raven is talking about. I've never heard of that one. We did, search the area for plaques or anything else, in the park in reference to the.
I can tell you who has the plaques, because they were vandalized at one time, so.
So the plaques were gone?
At this, right now, because they had been vandalized and somebody was attempting to remove them. So they took them and there was gonna reset them in concrete.
Okay. Well, see, none of this was done through the city as far as we know.
When was the decision to move the caboose made? When was this whole
2
process?
years
Couple years ago.
Actually, this has been a dream, if you will, of the Katy days and of the Tourism Bureau for about 4 years. Our recommendation in small part in the planning and zoning paperwork that went together just said, here's an idea, do you think this will fit in your overall park plan? In fact, we went out, a year before, 6 months before the plan was created, and toured several parks, Railroad being one of them, and we talked about the initial idea. One thing I think that needs to be stressed that Martha said is the plan that came from planning and zoning was recommendations. I mean, if we look specifically, they recommended that the train go to a different park. Only after we were able to obtain the railroad tracks that were hand-built by the Gandy dancers and keep those in Forest Park did we put the two together and say, okay, it's not gonna go there, it's gonna fit better here as a memorial to the Gandy dancers. So this is a plan that has several different pieces and recommendations from the planning and zoning. What started quite simply as a pipe dream of having a memorial to Gandy dancers through the Katy Days organization and tourism. And they've just kind of come together and been able to work together as different pieces of the puzzle came together. So I hope that gives a little bit of history on that, where it came from.
Thanks, yeah.
But the plan's been out for a couple of years, and we had very, very nondescript discussions. Again, pipe dream, idea discussions as long as 4 years ago of creating some type of a memorial that included hand-built track and one of the caboose that are in town refitted for that. So.
All right, we get this thing all decided to move it to Forest Park. Are we at risk of having to undo that decision? Okay, that's all I care about at this point. All right.
It's currently a TM track being refurbished.
I don't want to do anything that we've got to go, oops,